a rare occurrence for me to be shocked by a twist in a TV show. I just watch so much TV that at this point I know the tropes, I know what they're leading up to. So, it's not really the twist that matter to me, it's how they set it up. And I say all of that to say that Cross genuinely shocked me. Just finished the entire first season of Cross and I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple of things. So spoilers, if you haven't finished it, it's on Prime Video. Be sure to watch it. It's incredible. But let's get into it. And I'm going to start with this huge plot twist because it got me. The trope of the protagonist being very close to their biggest op is one that's used quite often. And I feel like Ben Watkins knows that, but he also knows that thematically this is something that they should be using. Because of the way that he wrote Cross, it would make sense that there would be someone so close to him that he would overlook. And not just in his personal life, but also professionally. And so to keep the audience on their toes, they make their two ops an older woman who goes to church with, Cross's mother and a pregnant woman. Oh, that is genius. The writers relied on the audience's biases to slip something right under our nose the same way it was with Cross. I gagged both times. I would also like to add that between this woman and the fanboy, these are the most industrious criminals I'd ever seen. I've never seen haters on this level. Normally what you'll see is people consume their lives with the person that they hate. This woman established herself in classical music and started working with a nonprofit group so that she could start training his son. Oh, that is so much work. And then she continued to work full time while infiltrating his family. The same thing goes for the fanboy. Like, he's been a serial killer for decades while having a full-time job. There was a point in the show when I was like just going through what his schedule looked like. He's spending all day working, being philanthropic or whatever. He was getting work done on his house, and he was also terrorizing that poor woman while also sending messages to Cross's house. Like, this is so much work that these criminals are doing. I almost admired them. But one thing the show did, which made me uncomfortable, but honestly I think it was needed, was show how terrible this man was. His violence against Sharon honestly made my skin crawl. There were points, I think when he was doing like the dental surgery, where I had to just fast forward. I couldn't watch it. It was a reminder that this man is a monster. We shouldn't endear to him in any way. Secretly, Bobby Trey started to become my favorite character. He reminds me a lot of Omar from The Wire, and not because he's gay. I don't know his sexual orientation, but because he's so chaotic and dangerous, and that gives him the freedom to express himself in ways that you wouldn't typically see, with a thug type character. That scene where he's dancing around in his thong, to me, was terrifying because I'm like, this man, freedom. He does not care about anything and he enjoys himself. Also, this actor, I'm pretty sure he's from DC because I've seen him in other stuff like set in DC, but his accent is the best DC accent I've seen on TV. And it made him more terrifying to me. I always felt like the DC accent was like the scariest part of the Northern New York accent and the scariest part of the Southern accent, like combined together. And it just made him more terrifying. Also, the fact that he was such like DC bred and born made him kind of invisible. It made him dangerous because he was weaving in and out of crowds and being able to just navigate the city because he's a resident and nobody would think twice. I'm not gonna hold you. Alex was pissing me off. This man who has a PhD in psychology was doing everything but go to therapy. He was terrorizing those children, which I had to say, these two children are soldiers. They deserve the world. And honestly, I was hoping that John would have taken them away from him because CPS needed to be called on this man. If pulling a gun on your daughter wasn't enough, constant neglect, the danger, the outburst should have done it for them. There's so many great scenes between Cross and his son. This actor, he's going places. He was so good. There's a moment where he reminds Cross like, okay, you lost mom. We lost her too. And guess what? We lost you as well because you've been tripping over mom forever. Also love that these kids are alive and probably L because his son is astute. He knew to be discreet. He discreetly told the grown-up that he trusted, hey, old girl over here is a knot. We need to get out of here. He played it off very well. Oh my God, I love these children, and I hope they have a bigger role, particularly his son, in the next season. Alex had one more time to yell at my boy John before I went through that screen. I understand he's going through a lot, but it's clear that John is doing the best he can. I said this in my review of the first 3 episodes, but I felt like Alex was exploiting the guilt that John felt for reporting him. The argument between the two of them was so visceral. Once again, we have to remember that Alex is a psychologist, so he said things that he knew directly would hurt this man. Let me tell you, John is a class act. And you know what he did? All he did was give him space, and he didn't even stop taking care of his mother, checking in on his family, because he knew that Cross just had to get it all out. And he didn't take it personally. When Cross came out, hat in hand, he accepted the apology and said, let's go. I almost sent Ben Watkins a very mean DM when I thought that he killed my boy off. Why do I care about these characters so much? I don't know. Actually, I do know. They're written so well. The dialogue is so good. Of all of the characters, I feel like he's the most natural. I guess next to Bobby Trey, because he sounds very natural as well. Definitely the dialogue and the banter makes this feel so real and makes this feel like people that I actually know. Gotta finish this up talking about the fanboy, which I love that name for a serial killer because I fight them every day. He was a truly terrifying opposition to Cross. Cross had to fight against, implicit bias, race, some mistakes he had in his past. And the fact that all of the connections he had to fight for. This man had the world at his fingertips. And the fact that he was white helped him out a lot. And he knew that, and he made sure that he exploited that. I thought it was so telling that he didn't have to kill that older white woman to get away that night. Even when she had the opportunity and the support from Cross, she kept quiet because that's how people be. I was glad in the end that they were like, we're not giving you any attention because we know that's what you want. I bet you we're going to see more of him in the next season. I can't forgive him, so I hope they don't do a redemption arc where he starts to help Cross because, he challenged him a lot, because I just cannot get the images of what he did to Shannon out of my head. That being said, I enjoyed this entire show. I loved it. If you haven't seen it and you somehow watched this entire review, I recommend you guys go see it. And I am begging Prime Video to please drop this next season week by week so we can take our time with it. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give this season 4 out of 5 Frankie Flames.